welcome to the Chef Dana Show. Today we are going to take a trip to one of my favorite places. We're going to Italy, everybody. My wife and I, we had this awesome cruise that we went on, and every time we could get off the boat for any kind of excursion to sample the food there in Italy, we were like, pew! So we found ourselves a lot of times in these nice little towns in Italy, but also we went through Rome and Pisa, etc. But we always got our hands on some risotto. So today, I'm gonna show you and actually tell you where risotto comes from, how to make it. We're gonna pair this with one of my wife's favorites, which is scallops, and I'm gonna do a little bit of spinach saute on there. So let's get started here. Take a look at the board. Look what we got going on here. On our board here, we have some lemons, we have some onions, we have some garlic, we have Parmesan, we have some arborio rice. This is the risotto rice, slightly different grain, right, than the one that we're used to, than the long grain rice. And we got some chicken stock, we have some lemons. So that's the basis for our risotto today. To get started, I have my pot here that I've slightly warmed up just a bit. I'm gonna go ahead and turn the heat up a little bit. I've got some onions. Now you can use your sweet onion. You could use a Vidalia onion or something like that if you want to. All of them are gonna taste great. I'm gonna take about a half stick of butter here and I'm gonna throw it in our pot because we're gonna wanna sweat the onions just a little bit. Just a little bit. Okay, so in the pot there we go with our butter. We're gonna let that melt. It's important that you wanna let the butter melt first before you start to add other things to it, because if not, the onions actually become a little bit greasy. So how does that happen? Onion becomes greasy because when the fats warm up and the onion warms up, the fat would want to jump right inside of it instead of searing or cooking in the fat. So I'm just melting my butter here, making sure it's all melted down quickly. And then we're gonna add that onion, and then we'll add the rice to that. Risotto can be a, how should I say this? A simple dish, but you do have to pay attention to it, if that's the best way to explain it. Because it is a starch, it would wanna stick to the bottom of the pot, and we don't want that, because then you're gonna have this burnt popcorn tasting risotto. Kind of like if anybody's ever cooked grits, and you left the grits just going on the stove, what happens? You get that little popcorn flavor, and that's from the starch actually sticking to the bottom of the pan. All right, so there is our butter. It's melting. We're gonna go ahead and add these onions in here, right? And we're gonna let them saute for just a second. All right, so we're gonna stir those up, and we're gonna let them saute / sweat just a little bit in their own juices and butter for just a moment. Now, if you notice right here on this one here, I've got some, how should I say this? I have some chicken stock. So in my pot right here, I have some chicken stock. You don't have to have the chicken stock warm, but I find as though if you want it to absorb a little faster, warm up a little bit. I do have some chicken stock here. I have it room temperature as well. That's what I'm gonna start with. This guy here, this is my backup buddy. Meaning if my risotto gets too thick, I can always take a ladle of this and add it right in there, right? You could use water, but water doesn't have the flavor that chicken stock does. So I like to use the chicken stock. Gives you just a little more flavor to the dish. All right. I hear my onions sizzling here. I'm just gonna give them another stir or two. While they're stirring, let me show you what I got on the other side. So on this side, right here, real simple, I've got some spinach, all right? About a pound or so of spinach. We're gonna cook that up as part of the garnish for the dish. And we've got some scallops, all right? So for the scallops, what I have them sitting on here, I have them sitting on a paper towel. Why the paper towel? The thing is, when you wanna sear a scallop, sear a shrimp, sear other crustaceans, they're naturally a little moist. If you want that nice sear on there, you gotta put the paper towel on there just to absorb some of the moisture so you can actually get down to the flesh. and cook it well. Okay. All right, so there's my onions. They are sweating. To this now, I'm going to add in my risotto. And we're going to stir it up. I want the butter to coat the rice because I'm going to cook it for just a second. Get it hot. Okay? There we go. So I'm going to let that sit for just a second. We're going to let that get warm. Not really browned or anything, but we just want to get it warm. And then we're going to start to introduce the liquid to the risotto. And I can hear that sizzle and occasional pop, which is what we're looking for. Okay? So another second or so. The beautiful thing about risotto is it comes out being so nice, so creamy. Most of the time, it doesn't necessarily have a major chewy texture to it, but it does have a slight, ever so slight chew. Uh-oh, get out of there. I see an onion skin. We don't want that. Okay. So there's my risotto going. We're going to start to add a little bit of water. I mean, chicken stock. See, you got me saying water now. Now, I don't know if you guys can hear it, but I can hear it. There's a sizzle going on in the pot, which is where we want to be. Okay? We want that sizzle. And you'll see in a second here, as we peek in that pot, you'll see that the moisture really disappears on this thing. Okay. So my next step is, while I'm waiting here for my risotto and watching this risotto, I'm going to go ahead and zest my lemon. We're going to use some lemon zest today in our dish. To me, the lemon zest has a nice flavor to it. Slightly different than the lemon juice because you're actually getting the lemon oils out of here. Be careful, though, that you don't go too deep, because if you go too deep on the lemon, you actually tear into what's called the pith. So the pith is when you get down to the white part from zesting. So right now, I don't know if you can see, but see how mine is like a pale yellow, right? That's what you want. What I'll do is I'll show you an accident on purpose. So I'm just going to move my lemon zest here. Watch this. If I were to keep going, see how it starts to get white? See that spot right there? That's what you don't want, because this right here is when it starts to get sour. So we're just going to take that little piece there that I accidentally on purpose, and we're just going to get rid of that bit because I know it's got some sour notes in there. It's funny, we had this chef one time, like when people didn't have zesters, they would try to zest the lemon. This was at one of my old jobs. They would try to zest the lemon with a paring knife. The chef could immediately tell, did you cut that with a paring knife or with a zester? Because he could taste some of the white part in there. And for a while, we were like, man, how does this guy know? He's going to know. He's going to know. So what it was is that he could taste some of the pith. And once we got hip to it, you just get refined. So we got our lemon zest ready to go. You saw me pour a little bit more moisture in here. And I'm just going to hold it up here. Look how fast. See how fast it's absorbing the moisture? You saw me do a nice pour and it's gone. So you got to keep an eye on that risotto. I'm going to keep pouring a bit, pouring a bit, pouring a bit. So risotto takes about, 15, 20 minutes, depending on how much you're making. Okay. So I'm going to put my lemon zest right here. So while that risotto is starting to do its thing, I think we should go ahead and cook this spinach. We'll get that out the way. So over here on this other side, I have my saute pan, and I got a little bowl here. Now I know you're wondering, like, wait a minute, you're gonna put all spinach in this bowl going to this bowl? The answer is yes, it will. So I'm gonna cut a little bit of butter here. We're gonna go into our saute pan here with a little butter. Okay. And now to this, I'm gonna add some garlic. And now we're going to add some spinach right on top of there, and we're going to get that wilting. This will be part of the garnish for our scallops. This is going to take no time at all to cook. All right, just checking on our risotto. Let's grab a pair of tongs here for our spinach. And remember, we're going to season as we go, so I'm going to start to add a little bit of pepper. I'm going to add a little bit of salt, just like that. And we're just going to finish sauteing it. And you see how fast that moves. Okay. So I'm going to leave it just about like this because the remaining heat's going to end up cooking our spinach. And I don't need to overcook the spinach. I just need it to be nice and perfect. Okay. And as I promised, look, that's all you got left. Big giant bowl, that's all we got left. All right, let's add some more stock here to our risotto. She is absorbing nicely. And then we're going to get ready to cook our scallops. Just giving it a stir. Again, you got to keep it from sticking to the bottom. All right, so here's our scallop pan. We're going to get ready to sear some scallops. I'm going to take just a little bit of oil. Plenty. Move that all around. Make sure, here's a mistake a lot of people make with scallops. You have to make sure that the pan is nice and hot, or you don't get that nice, beautiful sear. While you're waiting here, again, season as we go, a little salt and pepper. Okay, we're gonna let that warm up. I'm gonna stir my risotto again. Beautiful. Okay. So it looks like my pan is nice and toasty. I can see little bits left in there from the spinach that are bubbling. So I'm gonna go ahead and get ready to do these scallops. Let's test one. Oh yeah, you heard that sear? That's a good sound. That's a good sound. Okay, get all these in here. Okay, 2 more. You want to put them in the pan, let them get a nice sear. Nice little golden marks on there. Check on our risotto. Our risotto is coming along beautifully. Other things that you can add to risotto, you could add like mushrooms go very well. Different vegetables would go well. Proteins like chicken would go well, butternut squash. will go well if you puree it up and put it in there. All kinds of things you can do to risotto. It's very versatile. Risotto is a type of rice, like I said earlier. It was actually introduced to Spain and Italy back, I believe, in the 1400s by the Arabs. And so they brought rice over to Spain and Italy. Spain and Italy said, hallelujah, thank you, Lord. And they started to produce rice. Well, one of the artists was working on a church, and they used to use saffron as a coloring agent because of the pigment colors. And and playing a joke on the artist, they put saffron in the rice, and thus saffron risotto was born. Saffron risotto is one of the classical types of risotto that are out there. All right, so I'm flipping over my scallops here, just like that. Uh-oh, watch out, Gordon. Hooking it up. All right, so here's our scallops. Okay, you see we got some nice color going on. Check this guy out here. Wonderful. Wonderful. So I'm going to flip those over, let them get a little bit of love on that side. Check this risotto out. I'm going to add the last bit of stock to here for broth. And see, that's the cool thing with risotto. You could add like chicken broth. You could add turkey broth, a seafood broth if you wanted to. You could also add vegetable broth if you wanted it to be a fully vegetarian risotto. I'm going to pull my scallops off now just so we don't overcook them. I want to make sure that they're cooked well, that they have nice color on the other side, but at the same time, we don't overcook them. So I'm starting to check the other side here, and I believe if I just let them sit and hang out, they're going to come out absolutely perfect. So now for this risotto, as you can see, it's absorbing the liquid, but it almost seems like it slowed down a little bit. So you're like, well, why is that? Before it was eating up liquid like crazy. Well, the reality is now the granules are starting to swell a little bit, and it's going to start getting creamier for you. So we're just going to give this a stir. Again, risotto is one of those things you have to stir it. You have to stir it. If you're going to be the the lazy cook that day, risotto is not the dish to make because it's going to burn on you, right? But if you're willing to nurse it a bit, it will surprise you. Okay, so we're cooking away. I'm going to grab a spoon here because I want to see exactly where we're at. And you're like, well, what do you mean exactly where we're at? I'm trying to test the, what's the word I'm looking for? The chew on the risotto. Is it, does it have any little hard spots, or is it right where I need it to be? And I'm just waiting on liquid to finish. I think it needs a minute. Okay. I'm gonna let it go for a second. Okay. Let me get a bowl. Get that ready and on standby. Now remember, we still got our lemon. Today I'm doing a lemon and Parmesan risotto. Any citrus fruit's gonna work. Now I don't know if you can hear it, but as I'm moving my spatula back and forth in the pot, you can tell the liquid's going because you hear that. And it's definitely starting to get thicker, creamier. Okay, I'm going to get ready to add my Parmesan and that lemon. So let's add the lemon now. That's my lemon peel. Gives it an intense lemon pop as soon as you put it in there, because those oils just start coming out the dish like real quick. Okay. I'm gonna add a little bit of salt. Add a little bit of pepper. Give it a quick stir. And I'm gonna check it out. Still gotta add my Parmesan. But the reason I'm holding off on the Parmesan is because I wanna make sure that the chew is right. So I'm gonna get my spoon again one more time. I think I'm gonna add just a tiny bit of stock. And again, I keep the stock hot because I'm not shocking my risotto once I get it going. Let's get a spoon here. Let's give her a try now. See if she likes me now. Just about there. The lemon's coming out real pretty. I'm gonna add just a tiny bit more. So far I've added maybe about an additional cup of stock to it. Two things will come into play. One, how high your temperature was, and two, the brand of risotto that you're using, how fast it's absorbing. Okay. All right, we're gonna give that 60 seconds. Let's check our scallops. Let's see if we got that color I was looking for. Oh, there we go. Right on point. Now, I'm gonna show you one more trick since I'm showing you all my goodies today. See the scallops here? I'm gonna go ahead and pull them out the dish. And I'm going to take what's in there, and we're going to add this flavor right to your risotto. One thing you don't want to do is give up the flavor. So you develop the flavor in the pan. Let's add it to the risotto. You see all them juices? These juices are the juices not even the chicken can make up. Okay, so here we go. I'm gonna go back and forth in my pan. Put that right up in that risotto. We're gonna give that a nice stir. I'm gonna pull this right here. Let that calm down a sec. Perfect. And now we're gonna add the cheese to that. And now let's add the Parmesan. Going in, you are gonna see it definitely get creamier. And the Parmesan is where it becomes kind of subjective. This is where you can literally make it cheesier or less cheesy. I'm gonna get my spoon one more time and give it a taste. And then we're gonna pull it all together. Oh, baby. Oh, baby. What's my name? Okay, that risotto is tasting really good right now. We're gonna go ahead and start to plate this up. So the way we do that, simply grab your bowl, grab that ladle or a spoon. And again, it depends how tight you want your risotto. Super creamy. Some people make it super tight. You can use, let me tell you, I've had the best rice pudding of all time was made with arborio rice, the risotto rice. It was so good, it was ridiculous. All right, so there's our bowl of risotto. Let me get some spinach. Right here in the center. Start to dress this up. Your friends will think you spent hours and hours and hours making dinner. Sure I did. I started, yesterday at, 4:30 for today's dinner at 5 o'clock. I'm teasing. And then here is the scallops. Ooh, that's a pretty one. And this one on top. And then to finish this off, I'm just gonna take my zester, just ever so lightly, just a touch of lemon zest over the top. All right, and there we have it, everybody. We have our scallops sauteed with some spinach, and we have a Parmesan and lemon risotto. Join us next time right here on the Chef Dana Show for more awesome recipes on DETV.